Everybody. Welcome to my podcast, Parenting in Presence. And the main aim of this podcast is to share knowledge of various families who are pursuing alternative education, either homeschooled or unschooled their children. Today, we have Dr. Anusha as a guest for our podcast. And thank you, Dr. Anusha, for joining with us. And I believe rather than me giving a formal introduction about you, it would be amazing if you could share about you, your educational background, and what do you do now. Thank you.
Hello, Kritika, and hello, everyone. Manusha. I'm currently working as a professor in an engineering institution at Coimbatore. So, my basic background is civil engineering, the PhD in civil engineering. I'm now in this professor field for the past 18 years, and I'm heading the Department of Civil Engineering for the past 10 years. And this is a short intro about me.
Thank you for sharing about you, Dr. Anusha. It is so good to know that an educator has chosen an alternative education for her child. And I would like to know, before talking about alternative education, I would like to know what education means to you, or how would you define education in your own terms?
Yes. So, actually, education has different meaning because it has the same meaning, but it is perceived differently by different persons. So, I feel education is, as of now, education is treated as giving knowledge. And nowadays, in recent days, for the past 5 to 10 years, it means that giving skills along with knowledge. That is education, actually. It is mean as of now. But I feel that education doesn't deal alone with knowledge and skill. It also includes some values and beliefs. So, education should give a holistic development for a kid or for an adult. So education means everything, whatever he or she does in his or her day-to-day activity, it is because of the education that is being given to that particular child. You're muted. You're muted again. You're muted again.
So, so amazing because every family that, opts of the mainstream education and chooses the alternative education thinks that holistic development is missing in their children. And it's so beautiful that you also shared the same view. And could you please share us your journey on you chose alternative education over the normal mainstream education? You being an educator working as a professor, you would have had profound knowledge in handling different kind of children from various environments. And what made you choose alternative education? And could you please share the starting point on how you made the decision and convinced your family that this is what we are going to give to our child?
Yes. As said in my introduction, I'm here in this field for the past 18 years. But now my child is 5 year old. So I had enough time. I entered into this field in 2007 and I got pregnant in the year 2019. So I had enough time to know more about childhood, more about education during the younger age. So I had many exposures, many views. I was keeping on thinking about how should I bring my child, how should my take my child's life. I had different from other normal conventional lifestyle. Since I have seen many kids in the higher education institutions, so I thought most of them are coming from conventional education system. So I thought there might be a different type of education. So I started exploring the different types of education available. And actually, I moved from a particular town to the city for my child's education. So once I delivered my baby, I thought I should shift my place and come to a place where alternative education is being given as an important mode. And thus, I have chosen alternative education as a choice. And I'm able to convince my family because it is in the mind for the past 10 to 20 years, no? So it was very easy for me to convince my husband, but it was a little bit difficult to convince my parents, but even though they accepted later on.
Wonderful, because we, the primary caretakers, should have the equal responsibility in deciding what kind of education or lifestyle we are going to give to our children, because absorb everything from us. And if the spouse is not in coordination with what we decide with education, then it's going to have a huge impact on the child, even though we put them in an alternative education, because the expectation in alternative education is completely different from the mainstream education. So nice that you could make them understand the benefits of it. You you would have listed down a lot of benefits to share with your family members to convince them, to make them think about alternative education. That perspective, can you share what are all the things you see in your child, the benefits and all the beautiful things that you could see in him by choosing alternative education?
Yes, the reason why I chose alternate education is that, as I said, I don't want him to know more about the skill aspect or the knowledge aspect that we are giving directly to him. So I wanted him to get involved in everything. I want him to be a decision maker, which is more important during adulthood, and they did not depend on anyone. So that was the main reason for me to choose alternative education, and I can see it visibly now. He's in lower grade. He's in LKG, but I put him in school in 2 years before. Toddler program also I put him in an alternative education system, and then again now also he is doing his Montessori schooling, and I can see he is able to decide his own, and he is able to think more. So whatever aspects that we are thinking nowadays, the children are very active, and their knowledge level and their capability is so different. All the children nowadays. But in alternative school, they inculcate the habit of thinking, critical thinking also, even in the so they are able to think wider as an adult now itself. So the maturity level is also increasing, but even then they are also enjoying the childhood parallelly. So the childhood is not yet missed, but the maturity level is increased to a higher level. That's what I think. There is the biggest difference I see in my child. So everything, no, we are not insisting him to do this and that. And even if we insist, he is ready to say no. But he gives the answer with proper justification. Why he don't want to do such thing? Because he needs some other thing, and he's able to convince us easily. And we are convinced because of his proper answer and proper decision.
So, nice to know, Dr. Anusha. There are a lot of alternative pedagogies available these days. And with our dialogue, I could understand that you have chosen Montessori for your child. So can you please say us why Montessori? And what are the things you observe in the Montessori child, or what are the things that you observed in the Montessori philosophy that made you choose Montessori?
Yes, I feel that in a traditional education system, we give the answer for what is being answered in a conventional or traditional education system. But Montessori teaches why and how. So when a child is moving on from the grade 12 to higher education, so it is difficult to mold them at that time. They need some extra time to get themselves molded because the traditional education system depends only on knowledge and skill, priority. So I've chosen Montessori because from the childhood, I want the child to get into how it can be done and why it is to be done. So it is being taught in Montessori. So rather than sitting and listening to blackboard and chalk or proper presentation, they are doing everything in their with their hands. So each and everything is taught to them by working. So they'll be working with their hands, and so that they can remember it very well, and they can critically think and critically analyze why they are doing it and what is the purpose, and they can also deploy it in their future. That's the reason I have chosen Montessori education.
So wonderful, Dr. Anusha. And uh, since most of the alternative education methodologies, we say that they work with the hand, there is always a myth that comes by which says that putting them in alternative education, your child can only go for a hand job, or he can only be a handyman or things like that. So there is always this thought that a child who is in an alternative education is not ready for the competitive world. Can you please share your views on it? And yeah.
Yes, definitely there is a myth that. So mainly when a student is choosing their higher education, so her higher education, it is competitive, highly competitive. And especially if they want to choose professional courses like engineering or medicine or some auditor courses like that. So they need they need to pass some competitive examinations of some standard. So they have to remember everything that is being taught and they have to give it out during the examinations. So within a few marks, they don't get the seat. So that is a major thing that they are focusing in other schools. But I feel so whenever they are taught how and why instead of what, so definitely there is a more chance for them to score more. It is, as you said, alternative education system, when we are into it, many of our relatives and many of our friends told them, if you want your kid to become a business person or if you want your kid to do their higher studies abroad, you can choose alternative education. Later on, you please shift to the conventional education because they want to shine well. They need to give for government examinations. So make them to learn in conventional system. So I'm dead against it because I say no because I feel that the age group from 0 to 7 or 0 to 6 is the basic age where the brain is being developed. So when the brain is developed, if everything is given them the right, they crack any type of competitive exams that they can do in future. Since it is not a try nowadays because student faculty, I mean, sorry, the parents change in between. It is not being proven nowadays. So if we give a try, definitely we can make sure that our children, those who are doing in alternative system, can definitely score more. They are equally competitive to other students, those who are studying in. I can say that they will be more competitive than the students, those who are studying in the conventional thing, education system.
Wonderful, Dr. Anusha. Can you share with some of your real life incidents where you felt the holistic development in your child, if you could share some incidents?
Yeah, the socialism and networking has increased. So he doesn't move with others before he was going to school because he was born a little bit before COVID and we were into a single house, an apartment. And later on, when he went to school also, initially, he was hesitant to get into school. So the main thing that I can see is if he gets 2 days continuous holidays, he's okay because Saturday and Sunday are holidays. But if he gets more than 2 days holidays, he'll be keeping on asking when I'm going to school. And the third day, he'll be in hype that, jolly, I'm going to school tomorrow. I'll be enjoying my school. So daily he's going with lots of thing in his mind. He wants to explore this, explore that. He want to learn. He want to teach others. So I can see him teaching his younger children. So in Montessori, it is a vertical grouping system. Mostly in alternative schoolings, it is a vertical system. So we have 10 students from pre-KG, 10 students from UKG, and 10 students from LKG. So all these group will be in a similar same. So teachers tell that he is teaching others, he is able to teach others, and he is able to convince the teachers, convince us, and many social things. No? He used to help us. We need not ask him anything. So whenever he comes, he knows his responsibility. He does on his own. And maybe since he's very much younger, we need to tell few points. Otherwise, he's okay. He's very organized. He's also choosy in some things which is very much necessary at this age. So here in school, they don't have uniforms. They don't have shoes. It is not a compulsory thing. So daily he'll be choosing until Friday. So Monday I'm going to put this dress, Tuesday this dress. He'll also be explaining why this dress, what does he like of this dress and how it is comfortable for him. Similarly, if he wants to choose a pencil or a notebook or a storybook, he chooses on his. So that choice is being taken and I can also see that he is very creative. He draws a lot. He sings, dances, so many things he has learned out of school because though it is not directly taught to him in the school.
Wonderful. When we talk about a child being independent, there comes again another statement to do everything for the child. Why should a 5-year-old or 6-year-old decide what he wants to wear? Why do you want him to justify and doesn't have to do that? He has to just follow you. These kind of statements you would have obviously heard of. So how do you feel it when you hear these statements? And has it made you like feel bad? Oh, am I doing wrong to my child by choosing an alternative system or by choosing to do something different? Have you ever had any kind of a mom's guilt or a parent's guilt where am I doing it right? Has that question ever happened to you or to your spouse? And how did you handle it and how did you overcome it?
Yes, definitely we had. Initially we had. And in what way we had is that, as I said, when he says no to some things. maybe in a public thing, when we wants him to greet someone, when he says no, when he's not comfortable with introducing himself or giving his handshake to a new person, he felt very bad. So we used to think, and maybe he'll be changing. We used to think, and this main thing about alternative education is they're engaging parents often. So in his school, they engage us often, have some workshops for us. They have some activities, and we can share, all of us, we share our thoughts and the children's behavior together. And so we came to know through their teachers and through their mentors, those they have brought from outside. This is a common thing, and this is the nowadays the culture has changed a lot. So we need not prepare our children as we were prepared, because we had a family with us. Maybe our parents and grandparents were there to take care of us. So we were required. We required their support. So they were there to support us. But now the children have to grow independently. They have to make their own choices. So they do not depend on us. So maybe we should teach them what is right and what is wrong. They are teaching in school as well. So that is what we are supposed to do. So as we say, no, uh, we should not be authoritative to our children. Nowadays, the children, when we are authoritative, they don't listen. So we should explain them why we are asking them to do this. Unless they are convinced, they don't do. So I think that the older days are gone, and now the tradition will be like this.
Absolutely, I agree with you because, like, else, there are some places where children are expected to be explained, they are expected to be imitated, and we parents have the responsibility, not just parents, anybody who's a caretaker has the responsibility to be a good role model in front of the child. So it knows when to seek for explanation and when not to seek for explanation, and when to give explanation and when not to give explanation. Beautiful, Dr. Anusha. And I spoke with a lot of parents who are thinking about alternative education. I have heard this comment like, if I am going child in an alternative educational institute, they expect me to give a lot of hours in different workshops and different community events in the school, and I don't think I can do that. And you also shared about the events that you have in the school in which your child has been enrolled. So how do you see that? Do you think it is a good thing for the parents to have a communal network in the schools by attending these kinds of workshops and activities, and how do you see that it helps you groom as a parent?
Yes, yes, you said there are many engagement activities happening in the school, but they are not compelling us to attend. So it is a choice given to us. And they are also asking us choices of what are the activities that we require. So what can we do? So our parents, we give some workshops to other parents, those who are not aware of that activity. So some might have their elder children in the alternate school already. So if we are having some doubts, those parents will be helping us, and teachers will be there. For example, they tell the importance of storytelling. In alternative education, it is an important thing, and tell that they have a separate workshop called storytelling. How should we narrate a story, and where should we narrate a story, and how it impacts child's future or child's mental ability. Some hands-on activity like craft works or everything. So each and everything gives a different perspective. So we might have brought in different perspectives. So when we are going there into the workshops, they also allow us inside the classroom once in a quarter or once in a semester. We can go inside the classroom, we can witness what is happening in the classroom, what other children are doing and our children are doing. So it is so lovely to have that. And they also have a separate day for us alone. So students will not be allowed at that time. It will be a non-working day. So we can go and do all the activities, Montessori activities. So most of the activities you are not aware of. When they teach that particular activity, you are not able to follow it immediately. But they say that your kid has done already, and that your kid has passed certain levels. But once or twice, if they teach also, we are not able to. So the children's intellectual capacity is much more now. And so when we want them to be brought in an alternative education system, I feel that it is very much important for the parent to get engaged in the community programs. Maybe if both the parents are working, or if the work schedule is not adaptable, they can again meet the other parents, or they can get the guidance from their teachers later on, so that they'll be knowing what is happening with the child, and so that we can easily assess the child, why he or she is doing like that in the home or somewhere, what is being taught there. So we should know all this only through the community program. So I feel that it is good, and I love to attend. I feel that I put leave to college also. Sometimes I get permission and I go and attend to my children, because we are inviting parents for our parents meeting. No, so in our institution we insist the parents to come and visit our college, know about your child. Now even for adults we do that. So it is a responsibility as a parent to go there as well.
It's wonderful, Anusha, about being in the workshops and working together as a community to understand what the school is giving to the child in an everyday life. Talking about the school, I just want to discuss about the everyday life things that you do at home or things that you had changed after following Montessori at your home that had helped you.
Montessori taught me to have a Montessori environment at home. We have a separate place, not a separate room, but a separate place for him with Montessori shelves, the Montessori toy shelf, bookshelf. So they asked us to give toy rotation. So we used to give toy rotation, because in classrooms, in Montessori classrooms also, they don't have the same activity for the entire year. They keep on changing the activity so that the children doesn't feel bored, but they have the particular activity for a month or for 2 months, because they want the child to get the thorough knowledge on that particular activity. Why he or she is doing that particular activity? Unless they are getting the thorough knowledge, they won't move to the next. So he is doing the same at home. When he is bored, completely bored with this particular activity, we take it out, we give another activity or another toy. Similarly, we have a book shelf where we have all kinds of picture story books, because he is very young. So they asked us to read the story during the bedtime. So his vocabulary is also being increased and his creativity, thinking capability increases. So we do it regularly. And the main thing is that routine. So sleep routine and wake up routine is mandatory for younger children. So when it is set during the younger age, it is very easy for them to adapt. So these are some of the things that are being taught. And one more important thing that they have taught in the school is that we can say yes and or we can say no with a gentle thing. So we should be firm in a decision if it is wrong, but in a gentle way. So that thing, main thing I have practiced from his school.
So wonderful, Dr. Anusha. So people feel that when a child is put in an alternative education, child loses his academic knowledge and also they don't get much exposure in getting into sports. Does your say on it?
Yeah. So extracurricular activities are not being taught separately, but it is inculcated in their day-to-day activities. So example, we say extracurricular activities as sports, maybe singing, dancing, or playing some instruments or so on. So it is there in their regular curriculum. The regular routine itself there. We need not spend more time or extra time after the working hours to get them into the sports thing or this. So he dances, he sings. So everything is being taught, and there is a separate heart, there's a separate celebration for enjoying his extracurricular activities. So it is a myth that they are not concentrating on it. They are concentrating and they are allowing, but age appropriate things are being taught to them. So they're not forcing everything during their younger age. This is the age for singing, this is the age for using an instrument, they are teaching it. It is a part and parcel of their curriculum, day-to-day activity.
Good to know. And I think this would be a piece of information, very valuable information where parents don't confuse between alternative education and giving time for academics and extracurricular activities and sports. So a parent wanted to think about giving alternative education to their children, where do they start? To recommend some books or some YouTube channels or talking with the school administration of different alternative education providers or whatsoever, if you would suggest a new parent or somebody who is planning for a baby who has already started thinking about what would I do for my child's future in respect of education, could you please share us some thoughts on where and when they start?
I don't have specific YouTube channel or books to say, but what I did is I talked to many parents of his age or my kid's age. So I talked to many parents and maybe around 100 parents, and we have explored around 50 schools in and around my where I'm located. So each and every school we went, we were there. We spent around 1 hour. Seeing all the facilities and asking their parents and teachers. So it is better to visit. First, they have to choose what type of alternative education that they are going to do, and they have to check whether the education is given properly or whether it is incorporated or joined with the traditional education. Sometimes they say Montessori, but they don't give Montessori 100%. That is the biggest thing that we are facing nowadays. So we have to choose a right school. It is better to get knowledge or information from those parents, those who have already chosen alternative education. But when we ask those parents those who have chosen traditional education, definitely they'll say no, most of them. So if we are thinking to have an alternative education, please talk to the parents, those who are doing homeschooling or whether they have put their kid in alternative education system. And it is much more better to talk to the teachers of the particular school and to visit the school. And most of the schools will be allowing you inside the classrooms. They'll be teaching everything during the initial before there will be an orientation class before admission. So whenever you approach, they'll be fixing a date. When a group of parents come, they give a big orientation about half a day or one day, and we'll be taken to all the classes and all the places where our children are being engaged. So it is definitely necessary for us to go and witness everything. Unless you witness in person, please don't choose this. So if a school allows you to get into it, definitely the school will be a good school.
Was an amazing tip because I could remember our school days where our parents were like asked to wait outside the gate and we'd have to just stand in the queue in the gate and get into the vehicle where our parents are waiting. And it's like, I don't think our parents have ever been in our class and seen this happening inside the classroom. Like even the parents' meeting, it would happen in the big hall where like parents would just go finish the meeting and come back. So it's so wonderful that the education system, the educational institutions are making a huge transition in sharing what they are doing with the children, which was not available during our years and our childhood. So wonderful, Dr. Anusha. And my next question is parent or as a primary caretaker, we are the role model to our children. So I would like to know what are all the things that you do for yourself that you want your child to imitate, grow when they become an adult or even during the phase of growing up. What do you do to yourself, be it your me time or whatsoever, that makes you a role model who is worthy of imitation?
Yes, I used to learn a lot through workshops or maybe webinars available in the internet also. I'm learning about more about alternative education and school education system, though I'm into higher education system. So for my kid, I want to learn more. Unless I'm prepared during his every stage, so I cannot bring him well. So the school is taking care of him almost. Everything they are taking care. As you said, primary caretaker, we should be aware of what he is doing, what is his need. So I learn a lot. So I go through the books also. I go through some books, not about alternative education, but about education or about something about mindfulness, some thing that can nourish our soul. So when we are calm and composed, our children will be calm and composed. When we shout, they'll be shouting. Earlier, we were not asking questions to our parents. So when they say something, we say yes, we'll do. Otherwise, we will just say yes and we won't do. These are the two things that we do often. But our children, they immediately ask questions to us. So you're asking me to sleep at 8, but why are you looking at your mobile or why are you working with your laptop? So your health is also important. So you please come and sleep with me. So he wanted to do it along. So when he's taking and doing something, so he wants, hey, watching TV, Amma, you can also do something. You draw something for me. So they expect us to engage them, engage ourselves rather than wasting time. And whenever we are asking something to him, if we are not doing it, we need not be prepared to do the same thing. For example, when we are seeing mobile and we are saying him or her, the mobile is not good for your eyes, then your eyes will also be spoiled. So you also please don't. Initially, it was very difficult to manage my working time. So I will sleep along with him and later I'll get up and after he sleeps, I'll work for myself because we need some time to work also since we are employed. So that's what we do. So we should be very, very conscious in what we are doing, what we are saying, because they are very sharp. Children are very sharp and they doesn't watch our words. They watch us, watch our activity, what we are doing, they'll be doing. So when we are doing something and when we are saying something, they don't listen to our words. So we should do what we say. That is what I learned from this alternative education, from this generation children also.
That's so wonderful, Dr. Anusha. So, thank you so much for sharing all your views and thoughts and your experience. It was very enriching for us. And close with, I would like to have your closing thoughts on be it parenting or personality development or education or children, whatsoever you would like to share with our audience.
Yes, so as I said, children are learning from us. So we should be much more responsible. So rather than, there are some myths that a parent should do this and parents should not do this. It will be taught in the school. So most of the parents, when we are employed, we have lesser time with kids. So we don't have more time to spend with the kids. So I feel that spending more time is not important, but spending some quality time. So whatever time we are having, so whatever time we can engage with the kids, it should be of quality time. So away from mobile, away from laptop, away from everything. If we spend some time, quality time with them, definitely we can nourish their thoughts, nourish their soul. And one thing about alternative education, which I missed already, is that it is purely student centric education. So rather than teacher centric, which is a traditional education, it is student centric, and they give time for the student to grow. So as I said, if three students are being taught with the same principle or same activity, if one student is capable of doing it fast, they are allowing that particular student to move on to the next activity. If a one student is very slow, they wait, they get along with the student and make him or her to do that activity completely. They don't rush up, they don't pressurize, and they don't go give importance to marks. They don't have separate assessment system. They assess them daily. On daily basis, they assess them, and they don't have fixed curriculum. So they change the pattern according to the children, which is very much important for the younger children, like between 0 to 10 or 0 to 7. It is very much important. So it is being given in Montessori education system. So I feel, so we should not rush up with the children for marks, or we should not stress them to do homeworks. We should not stress them to do all activities. So we cannot expect the children to be good in everything. So we cannot expect it. But we can give everything. Each and every knowledge can be taught to them as school teacher or as a parent. We can do it, but with a pace. So we should give some space for them to grow, for them to think. That is what I wanted to give as a piece of information to the younger parents. Give some time. So don't compare with the other parents. That is the main thing. So even if your relatives or even if your parents or in-laws insist you to do so, so they used to compare. That particular child is doing his writings very easily. He's able to read very fast, but your child is very low. So that particular child can do better during his first standard or second standard. But whereas when he comes to fourth or fifth, our children, when they come to fourth and fifth, they'll be much more better than the traditional ones. Initially, there might be gaps. So there, it is because of the age appropriate thing that we are giving. When we are giving too much in the younger age, later on, no, everything will be over and they'll be growing slowly. So when we give the age appropriate knowledge, age appropriate skill, so we give a space for them to grow, think, and our children will definitely flourish. And I feel that alternative education should be given much priority, and parents should be ready to accept it. So after all, life is for living. So life doesn't purely depend on education. So education alone, studies, marks alone doesn't give. So even in higher education, the ultimate aim is placement. Any branch they choose, they go for placement. A branch that is not familiar also can give a good placement. A branch that is very familiar can give placement. But later on, after 5 years, what the children is doing, what the particular student is doing is totally different. So education doesn't, it is not everything. Life is different from education. Education is a part of our life. So it can be treated as a part of our life if it is given along with the ethics, value, morals. If they are taught at a younger age, we can see a huge difference in our children, and definitely our children will be taking to the society or the country or the nation to a different level if they are given more freedom. So freedom is very much important for younger children. Restricted freedom, maybe with a caution. Not so much of restrictions, with the caution, with the reason for the caution, they can bring a student very well, a kid very well.
You so much, Anusha, because it is very important for us to understand the importance of raising the child in the way where the child is the center and not society or school being centered. So thank you so much for sharing your valuable experience in the field of alternative education and Montessori education. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Kritika, for giving me an opportunity to share my views on alternative education. I'm happy to help anyone, those who are in need, to say about alternative education, and wish you all a happy learning. All your kids are happy learning. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your wishes.